Welcome to the Kristina Crooks show, where you not only get to know the many versions of moi, but also the rich tapestry of humanity. I invite you to bring your full curiosity and listen as we journey through people's stories and expertise. I hope you walk away with insights and inspiration and new possibilities bubbling up inside of your soul. The reason it's called the Kristina Crooks show is because here's the thing. I don't always want to do the same thing. I like a variety in my life. I like to explore different rabbit holes and different people and different interests. So together in this podcast, that's exactly what we'll do. Have fun, and we'll see you soon. In this episode, we get to talk to Pete Cann, and that's C-A-N-N. I met Pete on Clubhouse in 2021, and whenever he would come into the room, he would lift the energy and lift the vibe. So I was really curious on more of his story and how he found laughter yoga, how he became a laughter yogi. When I reached out to him to ask him if he would do this episode with me, I found out he was also on Britain's Got Talent, and that was an interesting journey he went through. Throughout this episode, we get to hear his journey of being an entrepreneur, having multiple companies, and finding laughter in a really dark time in his life. And I think a lot of us can relate to when we found something that was transformationally healing. So I hope you get nuggets out of this. I hope you enjoy the conversation as much as I did. Whenever I do these conversations with people, it's really to show you, the listener, that we have many sides to us as human beings. A lot of times through social media, we just see a small snippet, but we're much more diverse than that, and we're much more layered. So enjoy. I'm here with Pete Cann. And when he's not donning his red hat that you can see in the background, is making rooms full of people chuckle. He is the owner and managing director of a successful chef recruitment company called the Chef Tree, based in southwest of England in the UK. It's a mouthful. I'll let Pete tell you how he became the laughter man, but that was his business before. He was at a festival and came across this room where people were really laughing and discovered laughter yoga. And now we know him as the laughter man. I met Pete on Clubhouse, and he would come into our rooms and he would get everyone just bursting with laughter. And so I really wanted to have him on this podcast to describe to you who he is and how he went from having a chef company to doing laughter yoga for teams and retreats and things like that. So Pete, welcome to the show.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. How are we doing this afternoon or this morning, wherever you are listening? How are we doing?
That's where you are. It's still morning for me, so I am fantastic. And you?
Yeah, I'm really good.
So I'm really curious about the chef company that you had and how you use those skills and what you're doing now. And do you still run the chef company?
Yeah. So 2009, Chloe, my wife, and I started the chef agency. We were called a different company back then. We were called Back to Front, back of house to front of house was the vibe. And 2009, so we went traveling in 2007 and 2008, came back to the UK in the recession. I couldn't find a job, and then just went, actually, I'd been working for another agency pre-going traveling. And what I said to Chloe, I was like, well, let's try it. Let's just try it. And so that was sort of 2009. And then Chloe came on board into the company sort of probably about 3 months later, because we were used to spending 24/7 for 14 and a half months traveling together. And then literally Chloe had another job. So she was like, yeah, we saw each other for an hour and a half a day, and from going from 24/7 to an hour and a half, it just wasn't congruent to the lifestyle we wanted to live, really.
That's a huge shift.
Massive. So yeah, I mean, it took about 3 to 6 months to get to the point where we could pay both of ourselves not a massive salary, but something so Chloe could leave the full-time job that she'd found And so we started that, like I say, 2009, 2010, 11, 12. We started building the business up. Got to about 2016 when I got itchy feet when it comes to, I'm a bit of a shiny toy type of thing. I like to keep busy doing new things. And
I hear you. That's why this is the Kristina Crooks show and not something else, because it can be whatever I want it to be.
Exactly. So I realized that there was a bit of a market for a app called, it was called the Chef Tree. That's what we called this app at the time. And it's a bit like an Uber, TripAdvisor, Trustpilot type thing for chefs. So if you were a pub or a restaurant, you type in your postcode, you type the type of chef that you needed, and then it would match up these chefs in the area. We borrowed quite a lot of money to start this venture out. And this was sort of around the same time as when I discovered Laughter Yoga, was 2016. So Back to Front, as it was called then, was doing well. We were at the point of not working as much. Just to give you an idea of how the business sort of grew, and we had a team.
Yeah, no, it's perfect.
Around us. So like I say, I started this chef app that I went off and created. Didn't create the actual programming, but what I did was I started creating like social campaigns, started doing some marketing, Facebook marketing, started building up a bit of a buzz around what we were doing, and started a podcast for chefs, started doing like Facebook Lives with other chefs, started doing trade shows, started really getting this buzz around it. And then like I say, 2016 was when I found about Laughter Yoga, and this will become apparent in a second. But basically, in 2017, the chef app we ran out of money. Basically, we were paying money back, and out of the loan money. So it was slowly, and then it got to the point where Chloe and I had to have a sit down, and she was like, "It's not working. We can't borrow any more money." And at that point was where I used Laughter Yoga as a mechanism for my mental well-being, if I'm honest. And we can touch on that story a little bit as well, if you want to go down that route, which I think would be worth sort of going.
We go down all the routes.
All the routes. We want every single street.
Let's just explore all the routes.
Yeah, amazing. So I suppose
2017.
Yeah. So 2017 started, or the agency, not the agency, the app sort of fizzled out. Went through a lot of turmoil mentally then, because it was a lot of time and energy that I'd spent. It wasn't so much the money and the people wanting the money back. It was the fact that I spent 18 months of my life all in to the chef app, like creating this buzz,
right?
And literally going like, come on, it needs to go. And it never got over the line. And
as an entrepreneur, I just want to interject really quick with your story, because as an entrepreneur, that can be one of the most challenging things, right? Like you have this thing you're working on, you put everything you got into it, and then you have to really, if it's not working, you got to really be honest with yourself and take accountability and go, okay, this isn't working. I've got to shift gears.
That's a tough conversation as well, right there. It really is. It was really tough. I mean, we borrowed, I think we initially borrowed £80,000, then we borrowed another 30, then another 20. And then it got to that point where that was when Chloe was just like, nah, we're not borrowing anymore. And I was just like, please, we just need another 30 grand. And it was probably back to my gambling addiction days as well, which again is another route we could go down. Yeah, I've got loads. So that was 2017. So I went back into Back to Front as the business and really started just building the business up again, because we put a manager in place that didn't quite do what we needed her to do. We had a team of people. We basically grew from like a sort of a bed sit, 2 up, 2 down office we went to a big open planned office. We put 10 desks in there. We thought, wow, the logical thing, put 10 people in there as well. That would make sense. But actually, those 10 people then were like not really performing, and they weren't being managed properly. And we, the business was turning over a lot, but we weren't making any real profit, if I'm honest. But we were a bit sort of naive to it, I suppose, because we were sort of consumed over with the app at the time.
Right. Let me pause you for just 1 second. So Back to Front and the app they were two different things that you were running at the same time.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. So, although they were doing sort of similar roles in the sense, so Back to Front was
same industry,
same. But really, if you look at it from an overview, you'd be like, wait, you're creating this app that's going to actually do what your business is doing, and it's going to be cheaper and better, yeah, better for everybody apart from the agency, because you're actually taking the business. But we were quite clever and launched it in London rather than actually our area that we live in the UK. So we thought we'd launch it in London, more chefs, more customers, get it moving. And then once it started moving, then we'd move across the country with like roll it out, at which point it didn't really matter so much about our agency we were running because we would have grown it. But
Well, and that would make sense because you could test it out in these other areas without it impacting the business that was supporting you guys.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
and then once it took off, if it did, then you could replace your
Yeah.
business with that.
Yeah, exactly that. So it was and yeah, so that sort of all fell. So then 2017, 2018, I was back in managing, became the managing director again, supporting Chloe with the business. And then in 2019, I mean, again, the laughter is going to intertwine into this conversation in a minute, but I went to a retreat with other entrepreneurs because I'm all about surrounding myself with like-minded people. I love it. Being myself and putting my ideas into the mix and obviously getting ideas back. And it just helps us all grow. If you're in business, you should surround yourself with other business people that are higher than you are in the journey, or people below that because they have other ideas. And I just think it's an amazing ecosystem. So we were at a self-led retreat, and I said to them, I said, look, I'll run this laughter yoga because actually I've been practicing it quite regularly for the previous couple of years. And off the back of that, that's when the laughter started coming in.
So 2019, you're managing the business, and what I want to unpack in this is show people, our listeners and our audience, that you can have many different sides to you when you're an entrepreneur. And we typically do. And there's this idea that you have to follow one lane and one path. And that makes sense for getting things done and being disciplined in the things you need to take care of, because the less you do, the more you'll accomplish. However, that's not the case for creativity. And so here you are running this business, and then you've been exposed to laughter yoga as a student. And now we're at your first pivotal moment where you get to lead something with laughter yoga.
Yeah.
So tell us about that experience.
Okay. So can I rewind just quickly to how I
Yep.
discovered laughter yoga and go
Yep.
into that? And then it will all sort of make sense then. So yeah, so 2016, I was at a festival called Womad in the southwest of the UK. And we go every year. We've been going for, I mean, our daughter's 11 and she was in the belly when we first went. So 11, 12 years we've been going.
Wow.
And I was walking through the Arboretum and I heard laughter, and I thought to myself, there's a comedian on stage. You know, I was just bimbling around the festival. And as I walked around the corner, there's like 100 people lying on the floor laughing on their backs. I was just like, right, I'm at a festival, but this looks pretty crazy. What's going on? And so there was a sign saying laughter yoga daily at 11:30. And so I went back to Chloe and my kids and I said, look, I'm going to go do this laughter yoga tomorrow. Do you want to join me? And Chloe was like, Pete, you go enjoy yourself. You go do it. So we did all these different laughing and breathing exercises. And actually the lying down bit is the end of a session. And I was literally crying, doubled up laughing for probably about 10 minutes at the end. And then when Steve, who was running it, got everyone just to calm down and relax and take a deep breath in, this lady next to me went like that, like boom, we were all off again. And you do a meditation when you do a laughter yoga session. And so we did a meditation at the end, and I sort of sat up. I felt probably the easiest emotion was high. I felt really high, really like just wired. My eyes were just like massive on sticks. And Chloe, like I remember going back and seeing Chloe, and she's like, Pete, it's like 12:30. What are you on? I'm just literally been laughing, Chloe. Honestly, yeah, just blew my mind that I could feel like this through laughter. And I was just like, right, I need to know more of this. So 16 into 17, we didn't really do anything. Went back to the festival in 17, did 4 days of it, every single session. They had a small session in a TP as well. So consumed it, spoke to Steve, who was running it, and said, look, mate, I'm all over this. And I think this is it with laughter yoga. It's like, if you get it, you're all in. If you like, but a lot of people don't get it.
Yeah. And I think where you were in life too, like I can imagine the pressure and the stress of running those companies and and then needing to abandon the app, which you had put so much into, like at that time also. Now you come across laughter yoga. And I know, and for the listeners, I know we're going to jump around just a little bit, try to go as sequentially as possible so we can keep up with the story. But I met you in 2021. And at that point, you had been doing it a little bit for, I'm guessing, a couple years at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And it was when there was this big flood in Clubhouse and all these people were coming in, and we'd run these rooms, and every once in a while you'd pop in one of those rooms and you'd get everyone laughing. And it would be so much fun because it didn't matter where we were in the conversation. If you came in there, we knew that we were going to be laughing. And there was one room that we were running, just as a quick story. And it was intense. These rooms were going 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, 10 hours sometimes. And I think we were at like the 4-hour mark. And this one, it had been heavy, it had been intense, it had been emotional. People had been crying, people had been sharing traumas. And then you come in and I don't remember I think we were just easing out of that conversation. We were just starting to lighten up a little. And then you took it to a whole other level and everyone was hysterical. And for me, it's like 3 a.m. and I wake my partner up because I'm down in my kitchen laughing at the top of my lungs. And he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to wake you up." And this woman comes in after, or she comes in during that. And we get to her share and she goes, "I got to tell you guys, this room is amazing." So she must have been there before your share too. And, or your laughing yoga. And she goes, "I've laughed in here. I've cried in here. I've connected in here. I've bonded in here. Like I've gone through the whole gamut of human emotion. And it's not the best, but it's the second best room on Clubhouse." And she said it so seriously. She was very matter of fact, but it was right after you had been there and you had just left. I think she was the share or 2 shares after you being there. And we bursted out roaring in laughter because you had just been there. We were all primed. We had primed the pump. We had all been laughing. And then here she was, like, kind of giving us a compliment, but also kind of not. But she said she said it in a way that was like she didn't mean any malice, you know? And once we stopped laughing, she goes, "Well, no, seriously, you guys are amazing. You're just not the best." So she like doubles down. And we're like, "Yeah, we get it. We get it." So then I started a room after that for like 6 months that was called the second best room on Clubhouse. And that's
That's what I remember seeing the second best room in Clubhouse and never. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you for sharing that story. It's just like,
but you were a part of that co-creation. So I just thought it was such a hilarious, meandering. And it was because that laughter was there. And we were just like, if that laughter hadn't been there just before, we probably would have been like, "Okay, thanks for sharing." But we were roaring. Like it was the funniest thing. And it became this running joke and it became a whole room. And all because we had been laughing prior.
yeah. That's amazing. And that's the power of laughter. It really is. It just opens up
So much.
so many emotions, doesn't it? And you're right in sort of saying with regards to, that it came onto my radar at the right time with 2016 because, I'd actually been aware of it, I think in 2014 and 15. I remember seeing a sign, laughter yoga, but never went, let's go and explore what this is all about. So, so like I said, so in 16, you're right. I was building this app. I was busy. So therefore this laughter was just all of a sudden this release for me. And then 17, I actually between 16 and 17 was when the app fizzled. And to continue that side of the story, 3 days before Christmas, the company that we borrowed the money from sent us a letter and said, "You owe us all the money back because you've borrowed it against your other business to set up this business, which is against terms and conditions," which, naively, we didn't know that. So we had a letter asking for the £130,000 3 days before Christmas. And it was just like, and that's sort of yeah, it was dark. It was dark times. It was just
Right.
like, I just remember being at it was actually like a Christmas, like a children's play area. They had Santa and stuff. And I'm on the phone, just this guy just going like, "Yeah, are you fucking taking the piss? It's 3 days before Christmas. And they're telling me you're doing this. You realize that I'm here with my family. We don't have the money. They want a second charge on the house and stuff. And it's just like, and in the end, we got solicitors involved to push back, and it calmed itself down, and we just slowly just paid the money back as according to the terms. So, but at that point, I felt like this failure. So again, borrowing the money, spending all this time and energy, then jeopardizing my family's life basically with what we were going through at the time. And I remember in the February of 2017, just having some really dark thoughts when we were on holiday, and just like, what the fuck have I done? Why have I done this? And just really questioning my own, just myself really, about how I'd done this, and just been so, but like, again, I touched on the gambling side of things and how I'd risked everything because of being stupid and really downplaying my self-confidence. And I remember being in these sand dunes, and for some reason I went, laughter yoga, laughter. And I went online and I found these videos of Dr. Kataria, who's the founder of Laughter Yoga. So he's got these videos online, and I was stood on a sand dune, just watching YouTube videos, just laughing with this guy. And it literally changed my outlook. Like, not instantly, but like over the next few days, it just started, the sun started shining a little bit, which was good. And then 2017, when I went back to Womad, that's when I went, I need more of this, because this makes me feel fucking amazing. And actually, it's got me out of this really dark time. And I want to share this with as many people as I can. 18, he wasn't there. He wasn't there. He stopped doing it at the festival. I'm like, so we went back in 18, and he was just, there was no laughter yoga. There was just no, and there was a lot of people walking around just going, oh. And I reached out to Steve, and he's just like, he'd fallen out with the organizers and to do with tickets and blah, 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 blah. And I said, look, I need to learn, Steve. I need to learn how to do this. So I went down and saw him in Cornwall, and he gave me a little bit of a rundown of what to do. But so anyway, so then it gets back to 2019 when I'm at this retreat. So then I'd obviously been watching lots of videos, laughing myself basically. And I ran this session with these entrepreneurs. All of them have got successful businesses, some bigger than others. But we were all in hysterics, lying on the floor. We got to that point. Even my business coach at the time, who's very serious, he was crying next to me, literally with tears of laughter. And on the Sunday evening, we were all sat around the table at dinner time. And it was in January. So we were like, right, what are you going to achieve in 19? What's your one thing you want to do this year? And it got to me, and I said, I want to become a laughter yogi. I want to like start a laughter club. That's what I want to do. And everyone's like, you so have to do this, Pete. This is your purpose. This is why you've been put here. And like, it was all very like profound, like this massive thing. And this lady who's there reached out to me and said, look, come and do a session for my choir in February. And I was like, yeah, no worries. How many people is it? She's like 150. I was like, okay, no worries. So, and I rang up this laughter yogi to say, right, I'm going to run the session. What would you recommend I do with regards to what exercise? She's like, just go and learn how to do it. Spend 2 days, do your training. So I went and did the training in February, a week before, just, you know how the universe just puts stuff in your path. So I'm Googling like laughter yoga training. There was no training. And all of a sudden one was in Devon, which is probably about an hour away from our house. And I went and did this training. Everyone was there for different reasons, for their school, for their coaching. And then I was like, I've got 150 people next Sunday. I need to learn what I'm doing. It's like, whoa. And so I did that, 150. It was amazing. I was definitely very nervous, excited to start, to stand up in front of all these people. And I've got a video of it. It's amazing. And the energy in the room was amazing. And this lady came up to me at the end, and this still sticks in my brain, because her granddaughter said, look, my nan wants to talk to you about something. And I was like, yeah, sure. And she says, look, I just want to thank you because I'm in remission and I've not laughed for 9 months. And I was just like, wow.
Oh, what a heartful moment.
It really, what it was massive for me, because I was just like, okay, so I've, going down this journey,
I can
and
feel tears of that one. Like, I can feel what you must have felt at that time. Like, how
it,
amazing.
it really was. And, since running all the sessions since, I've had many people come up and hug me and say the same thing. It's not so much a remission, but like I haven't laughed for years or months, and thank you. So 2019 was very much, I wanted to be this laughter, canned laughter is the business name. And I had this red hat, which is obviously there, which I wore at the festival. It's my festival hat. So that's why the hat is there. It's just like, well, I'm just going to wear this hat because I used to wear it at Womad. So it makes sense to wear a hat. So we had a mantra in 17, 18, 19 was, we don't work Fridays. So we work, get everything done Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We don't work Fridays. So Fridays was me going, right, I want to explore more about the laughter yoga. And so I reached out to lots of the entrepreneurs that I knew and said, let me come and run a session for you. It's free, but let me bring a camera so I can record it, build some assets. And I started the journey in 2019 of sort of getting myself out there. And then 2020 came, and as you know, what happened in the world in 2020. So in March 2020, when February really, it hit us. Just saw this wave coming, and being in hospitality as well in the UK, we're just like, shit, this is going to really, really, really affect us as a
Yeah,
business.
everything just came to a screeching halt.
It did. It did. And hospitality was the one of the first to shut, one of the last to open. So it was such a big time scale. And I literally dived into laughter like very deeply then at that point. I was already laughing with people online once a day. And then we started doing 4 sessions a day. I opened up to anyone to come along for free, just, to help everybody's mindset and mood. And it was probably about 6, 7 weeks into that. And that's when Clubhouse came out as well. March time, I think March, April, I got onto Clubhouse.
In 2020? Because I met you in
Yeah.
2021.
Yeah. So I've been on it for
Oh, so you've been on it since their very beginning.
I was in the first wave in the UK, but yeah,
Got it.
my mate just said, look, you need to get on this. It was really early in the Clubhouse world. So
That would have been before all the influencers and stuff came in and before the celebrities started coming in.
yeah. Well, what? I'm not a celebrity. Stop it. It's fine. Yeah. So we and yeah, I just suppose for me personally, I filled definitely a massive void at that point, because being busy as an entrepreneur, you're always busy doing stuff, and
Right.
having that taken away from you, and sort of the conversations we were having, because we supply chefs to like elderly centers, care homes, homes for the elderly. So our chefs go in there, and the conversations we were having were, we've just lost 10 residents this week to COVID.
Oh, wow.
And so that was one conversation. And the chefs we got on the phone as well, going, where's my work? I've got no work. What we're going to do? How am I going to pay my blah, blah, blah.
Right. So you're getting it from every angle.
Yeah, the energies were just really, really low at that point. And I said to Chloe, I took a bit of a decision and said, look, we don't both need to be here because it's not busy enough. So let me go off and do this. And, I laughed so much, Kristina, through all of COVID, and not because it was funny, but because it was just set in my mind.
Healing.
Yeah, massively, massively. And a lot of people were just like, how can you laugh, Pete? Your business is like virtually disappeared. And it's like, yeah, but I can't do anything about it, but I can do something between these two ears. And it was, yeah, it just became this thing. And then sort of got involved on LinkedIn, put a little poll out saying, right, what should I call myself? And then Pete Cann, the Laughter Man, became the thing. So I used a lot of polls and a lot of interaction through LinkedIn, and then obviously Clubhouse, the same as yourself, when it first came out, just consumed just all over it.
Yeah, there needed to be some support groups for people like us that were on 50, 60 hours a week. And it was wild. It was wild. But I want to tell you that during that time, because you were so prevalent throughout it, there were probably a good 100 of us that were like always running stuff, always moderating rooms on there a lot, at least that I met and knew and was seeing consistently and leading. And I had noticed some other laughter yoga instructors pop up. And I don't know if it was because they were influenced from you being there or if they had heard it from someone else, but there were a few that I had come across, but nobody quite did it like you did. And and I really appreciate that, and I want to honor that because you really honor. It's clear that you do your own work internally. You manage your own personal growth, you manage your own mindset, and you've had these really challenging things in your life that have been humbling. And laughter yoga was something that helped you heal and helped you help others heal too. But it wasn't a spiritual bypassing for you. And I've noticed that some people, much like anything, it can happen in the gratitude spaces, it can happen in good vibes only spaces, it can happen in the laughter yoga community. And wherever there's something that has this kind of high to it, people can use that to avoid the hard stuff. But what I appreciate about you is that you can feel emotionally for anyone that gets to experience you. That's not the case.
Mm.
It's a healing tool that's part of your toolbox, but not something to avoid life.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're
I
welcome.
really do. I think I think you're right. I know a lot of laughter yogis, and yeah, and it's changed all of our lives for one way or another. I suppose because of the business headspace that I had and I just, I what I've always struggled, I suppose, with the laughter yoga side of things is let's not try to monetize it, because I have made money from it. When I say have made, I've taken money from it. I haven't made any profit from it because I've always invested it back into
Right.
the growing of it. It's just one of these things where, I suppose from Dr. Kataria, who started it, it's all free in parks in Mumbai. Through Asia, it's all free. Whereas the Western world, we need to pay for venues to hold these trainings and stuff. And actually, laughter is free because it is within us, but actually it still takes time and energy for a professional to be able to facilitate it and take you on that journey from not laughing to uncontrollable to calm again. It's this magical place.
Absolutely.
So again, thank you, because there were a lot of laughter yogis, and actually I was encouraging a lot of them to do similar to what I was doing, just laughter bombing, really, because that's really what I was doing. Was at the beginning, it was amazing. I loved it. Just like, put your hand up you go, right on, you're on the stage. You're next. Okay, right. I haven't really got anything to say. And just like, and then obviously, like yourself, when the mods started understanding what I was doing, then I was getting invited and encouraged to come along and lifting the energy in rooms. And yeah, it was an amazing roller coaster. I just remember, like, some stages I got onto, there was one that was like 4,000 people, and I was just like, Chloe, and well, she was like, get off the phone, we need to go. And I was like, there's 4,000 people. I'm third in line. I'm about to go off. And it just like,
I know those conversations with the partner, and you're just like, just 10 more minutes. Like, it's like, it can be such an addiction. And because it gets exciting, and it's when you're one of the people that's influencing the energy of the space too, what's the word I'm looking for?
addictive.
Oh, yes, addictive, but there's another word. It's exhilarating. It's exhilarating.
I
So,
think it's a spike of dopamine, really, as well.
absolutely. So for our listeners, I want to encourage anyone that's here visually, or anyone that's listening on the podcast. If you are a coach, if you're a healer, if you run an organization that does team building, Pete Cann is the best person that you can have for laughter yoga. Hashtag the laughter man. And you can find him at PeteCann, CANN.com. And his information will also be in the show notes. But I just wanted to make this plug because having you for an event is huge, especially a personal growth thing, because that stuff can get heavy. It's intense. And we have to be able to play through it, because that's how we integrate. We integrate with music and playfulness and laughter and fun. And if that aspect is not there, you won't continue to do the work because it's hard. But if it's fun and playful and you can incorporate that into it, it makes it a whole different experience. And you can go in the trenches of you and witness it with each other without being a codependent group or relationship where you're trying to fix people. So, any of you out there that run retreats, that run events, that do corporate things, that do your own personal things for your business, please do check out Pete Cann. So, coming back to some of your story, at some point in the last year, you were on Britain's Got Talent, right?
Yes. Yes.
Tell us about that experience.
Yeah. So this was it pre-COVID? No, it couldn't be pre-COVID that reached out. I basically had an email from Britain's Got Talent saying, "Hey, we like what you do. Would you like to be on the show?" And I'm like, it's not really an act that I do, but go on, talk to me. I'm listening, basically. And then they sort of, as I've learned over the years now, with when it comes to anything with television, they like to stroke your ego to make you feel special, because ultimately whatever they're going to do with you with the edit, then that's what they're going to do. So and yeah, they reached out to me. I said, "We want you to come on the show, do some laughter yoga." I was like, "What do you want me to do? One of the auditions?" And they're like, "No, like it'll be straight into the on stage auditions. None of the pre."
Wow.
I don't think they do that anymore in the UK anyway. All that pre-queuing up and blah blah blah. It's all edited and stuff. What anyway? So yeah, it was an invite to the London Palladium, which is a 2,000 seats venue, and I was just like, yeah. And what this is interesting in the way me and Mrs. Cann think, because Chloe was just like, "No, you're not going to do that, because they're going to make you look like a dick. You're going to be that fool guy. You're going to be the one that they just like, blah, 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 blah.
Make fun of or something."
Yeah, exactly. The scapegoat, the person that, they have to give the 4 crosses and make you look like a dick so that everything else looks more better. That's really good English, Pete. But but I was just like, yeah, but Chloe, I'm about to go stand in front of 2,000 people on stage, laughing, bringing laughter to them. So I'm not going to say, and I've got the opportunity to be on television, which possibly the bit of vainness of me maybe as well. That I was just like, I got to try this. And
Well, I think all of us that have that entertainer aspect like that, like,
of course. And
so it is.
yeah. And, like I said, the first job I did was 150 people, and I'd stood in front of like 1,200 business owners. So I'd already done a stage volume and I knew how that felt. And I'm like, yeah, I need more of these plank of some wood in front of lots of people, because actually it's an amazing experience. So I put my hand up, said, yeah, let me do it. So I went up to London, spent the day doing some recording backstage, which is in a hotel. So you do all these little shots and stuff. And then we get shuttled over to the theatre, and then you're in the backstage and you're in this little queue of acts. There's 3 or 4 before me. And then as I slowly walked through, I was in, then next thing I was at literally backstage. And then I was in a little quick interview before I went onto stage. Met Ant and Dec, the 2 presenters. And they're like, "Go on, Pete, on you go." And then I sort of walk on to the star, and I'll just look up, and I was like, "Oh, okay, brilliant." There's the 4 judges. I've got a whole audience. Then look up, there's another audience, and then I saw a bank of lights, and look up again, there's a 3rd tip. I was like, it's a big audience.
Wow.
And I do this exercise where you breathe in and just breathe out along hard. Then so I just went hard. Everybody's went hard, like nearly 2 hours, like this, that. And I was like, okay. And then so I did
Wow.
4 different laughs, the hee-hees, the ha's, the ho-hos, and just got everyone laughing. And then split I was guided how my 3 minutes should go. And then that was when it was like, got my 4 kisses, which I knew was going to happen. And then the 4th one, I was just like, yay, like that, shake, like celebrating the win, really. And Amanda Holden, one of the presenters, just there's a clip of her just laughing and pointing at me, just like, as in, I think fair play, he's enjoying the program sort of thing. And they gave me the feedback to say, yeah, it wasn't really an act. I was like, yeah, I know it wasn't an act, but we need to laugh more as a human, as a UK, we need to laugh more. And then then I forgot what her name was. She said, "Oh, I laugh loads at home." And I said, "Look, you're very lucky. A lot of people don't." And then I said, "Look, I think the audience enjoyed it, didn't you guys?" And like that. And everyone's like, "Yeah." That's all I needed to hear.
Right?
Then
Yeah.
yeah. And so that was all filmed, and then I wasn't sure if I was going to be on the on the TV itself, and then got a message 2 days before a Saturday, said, look, clean up your socials, click on this link, you've got to go clear off your social channel. And actually I was pretty impressed. I only had like 60 posts over my years of the odd shit, and a bit might be an F-bomb there as well. I had to clear out. And then I'm sure other people have got a lot more than that, to be fair. So and then there was on, and the edit isn't too bad, actually. I'm they definitely put it together. Simon wasn't doing the face that he was doing at the front end. When I mentioned laughter yoga, there's an edit of him holding his head like that with hands in his head in his hands. He did do that at that point, so they've manipulated it a little
Move
bit.
some things around to have a different narrative.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of really good feedback from I suppose my connections and my contacts on socials, and a lot of people from previous years have just came out of the blue and went, "Oh my God, you were on Britain's Got Talent last night." I was like, "Yeah." So yeah, it's a story. It's a story.
That's incredible, Pete. That's incredible. And what's cool is that it wasn't, whether or not there was some vanity there, like, "Ooh, I get to be on stage in front of 2,000 people." Whether or not that was there, you were there knowing that i- if I can get these people to laugh,
Mm.
then I've done my job. And that's what you did. And you got this really positive energy back from people. You impacted 2,000 people at one time in 3 minutes.
Mhm.
That's incredible. Like, that is so cool. And here you get to look at that, have that experience, and look back just 5 years ago or 6 years ago at this really challenging time in your life that you probably thought, I don't know what's up from here.
Mm.
And I bring that up because I think COVID for a lot of people was
Mm.
was some of their lowest points. And there may be someone listening right now when this comes out that is going, yeah, that's me right now. And I think what's cool about your story is that it we're never in one place for very long.
No, not at all. Not at all. And especially if it is business owners predominantly that are listening to this, then we're on a ride. Entrepreneur, it is a ride. And there are days, there's never a time where everything's amazing. There just isn't. There's always going to be something, whether you've got like money's an issue, whether it's time, whether it's your team. It's one of those three is always going to be something. And I mean, we're in the process right now of selling our house, and it's fallen through a couple of times. I mean, this again, through COVID, what's happened is we work remotely with the chef agency now. And actually, it means we can be anywhere in the world and work. So we've decided to relocate to Cornwall, which is a beautiful part of the world by the coast. And so actually, although during the COVID years, we came out with quite a heavy deficit as a business, we've grown massively as humans, as a family. Our kids both. I mean, Neil is 11, Charlie's 9, and they're not silly children. They soak up your energies, and they get what's going on, and they have seen that what we've gone through. They're aware of it. They ask intellectual questions about how the business is going. Are we going to be able to get this house, and all these sort of questions. And even with the laughter, sometimes. Because I laugh on Clubhouse every day, about Monday to Friday. I still laugh on Clubhouse. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. I didn't know that you were still doing them on there.
Yeah, there might be 2 or 3 people on there. It's literally, that's where the world's gone with Clubhouse.
Right.
But it's still that 10 minutes for me to laugh. And I hold that space for anyone to come and laugh. And we don't talk, we just laugh for 10 minutes and set our intentions. So, but my children, they sit, they're like lurking around because it's just getting ready for school at that point. But if I don't laugh, Kristina, I feel it in my energy, my mind and my body. And there are times where I think, just balls, I've got to go and laugh now, Clubhouse for 10 minutes. But I always come back and I'm back, right, okay, packed lunch is ready. Is everything ready? Have you done the reading record? Right, make sure you get, I always send the kids off with a hug. Make sure you make someone laugh today. That's all I say. Just make sure one person laughs. That's all you've got to do.
Laughter is really incredible. I threw a birthday party for my partner a couple weeks ago. His birthday was in May, but we had this belated birthday party. And we've lived in upstate New York now for 3 years, 3 and a half, and we've never had a party here because most of that time was COVID and we had a family member passing away. So we were just in our own little cave, our little foxhole, and that's all it was. But we had these people over and we were playing lawn games. It was a beautiful day. And all of us, there was only 7 of us, but all of us were laughing constantly. And by the end of the night, everyone was like, "Oh my god, my cheeks hurt and my abs are sore." I haven't laughed like that in years. And I was like, "Oh my god." And, to think that someone hasn't laughed like that in years, and a few others said, months. I think maybe it had been a couple weeks since I had laughed quite that hard for that long, and, but not years, and I just thought, how many people are in that same boat. And here we were just like, they had all been strangers. And we brought these people together that we knew separately and put them in a party together. And nobody was offended. Nobody was irritated about anything or frustrated. And a big part of that was the play and the laughter. Like they were even ribbing each other about things and not taking offense because there was so much laughter. And that was when I think it was the Monday after that party that's when I reached out to you and I was like, "You gotta be on here," because it totally made me think of you.
Which is amazing, isn't it? Amazing. So you think of like, prolonged laughter, and that I come to front of mind, and that means a lot as well. So it shows that actually those days of being on Clubhouse for all those hours,
So many hours.
it pays off, it doesn't it? It really does, and it's just
Yes.
and if you've got this passion of there's something that you really want to do, and you really feel that it's your calling. And this is sort of where, okay, I'm going to sort of move slightly with the story in a second, actually, is that, now what's happened literally in the last probably 3 months is the chef business is starting to really ramp up again, which is fantastic because ultimately we've got an income and we're not stressed about money anymore because it's coming in and blah, blah, blah. But I'm sort of moving back into there now, and I'm still doing, I still laugh every day. That's fine. I'm not chasing laughter as much as I was with regards to getting business, because actually the chef business is what pays the bills, if I'm
Right.
honest. Don't get me wrong, I've just done a video edit that's going to come out in a couple of weeks, which is me. I had 250 people just to get those events. That I want those events, but I'm not constantly banging on doors at the moment because I'm focused on the chef business. But I know hand in hand that I don't know where I'm going with this now, actually. It's just, yeah, if you've got a passion, it just naturally
It
people
finds you.
resonate. Yeah, it will find, exactly. It'll find you and people will find you. And you still obviously need to put yourself out there to a point. But it's all right. Because I was kicking myself quite blue, if I'm honest, a little bit down. I was chatting to a good friend of mine, just saying, "Oh yeah, the business is taking off, which is really good. I'm a bit spending more energy on it, which is good. And actually, the stuff that I'm working on, because I do the marketing with the business, and so we were really struggling to find chefs. And by me spending a couple of weeks tweaking a little bit, all of a sudden it's working. And so, that gratification of like, you do a few things and it's like, actually, wow, the money starts coming in. So whereas with the laughter, it's like constantly just pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and not
Yeah.
really getting the people putting their hand up, because it's like, what, we're gonna laugh for no reason. Do we need laughter in our teams? Do we need laughter in our, at my event? Well, actually, think of it differently. It's like, do you need laughter, or do you just need a high energy? Do you need to be able to lift the audience or your team? Then that's, laughter can really, really help that. And that's, I suppose, the message that I've always tried to get across, is that, yeah, you can laugh. You could just go laugh now if you wanted, but it's not a prolonged thing, and it's not organized. I've got like a 5-day challenge, where it's 5-day video of laughter, basically. So the first day is a couple of minutes, then
Awesome.
3, 4, 5, and then the last day is 8. I call it a challenge because I'm very much, set yourself a goal for 5 days. What do you want to achieve in 5 days? Because I know that laughter can really help us achieve our goals as well. I really believe that, because we open up the whole creative side of our brain, and actually you know, we sit in our logical brain all the time. So when we're like doing a to-do list or whatever, or I don't know, you've got to maybe write a chapter of your book and you're really stuck. Well, actually, you could laugh your way through that for 5 days if that's what you're doing, or you've got to create something.
Where can people find this 5-day challenge where they can join it and be a part of
Yeah,
it with me?
yeah, sure. It's www.petecann.com.
I'll put that in the show notes.
I will let you have the link for that.
Perfect.
And then obviously, you know, on petecann.com, just like, or even hashtag the laughter man, come, just type that, whatever your social platform is, I'm there somewhere laughing, and just come, if you listen to this, please come and laugh with me, say hello. It's not often I get to share my whole story, if I'm honest. It's usually just about the laughter, but you know, obviously I've shared like why I laugh, which has been amazing.
I love it. I love your whole story, Pete, really. I would imagine that there's all kinds of things happening in your brain when you laugh.
Mhm.
And when you start your day with something like that, when I was visiting friends and family in California a couple months ago, there was a moment where I was so annoyed with the traffic, because the traffic in San Jose in California is insane. And I was going, just go, go. And I was like, why don't you just go? Just go down the road and turn left and get off the damn freeway so I can keep going. And I'm like talking to myself and all these voices, and I'm laughing at all these characters that are coming out of my face hole. And I'm like, that's it. Like, by the time I get to see my friend, I'm in tears. She's like, are you okay? I'm like, oh my God, I was laughing the whole way here because I was talking like a redneck coming down the road, yelling at the people that were in my fucking way.
Is you been watching Ozark by any chance as well?
Yes. Yes. I was
Brilliant.
really.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing. And this is it. I mean, you can't control the traffic. You really can. I do an exercise we call it red light laughter. And we should let's just do the red light laughter now very quickly. So you're listening to this, even if you're listening on the podcast right now and you're on traffic, right? You can't control when the lights turn red, but you can control the way you think about it. So I just want you to just look at that light, put your finger out, your wiggly finger, and we're just going to waggle and we're just going to go.
I love that because it's like you're telling the red light, no, you don't get to take my day. So with that, thank you so much, Pete, for being here. It's been a joy, and I can't wait to have you back.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Kristina Crooks Show. If you'd like to learn more about our guest, you can explore the show notes, and there should be information about them in there. If you'd like to reach out to me personally, you can go to my website, KristinaCrooks.com, and learn about different offerings we currently have, or set up a call with me personally. I hope that you take away some insights and some new inspirations, some new zest for life. And I hope, above all, you have a really great day.